Hi, welcome everybody to our episode of Shift Happens, where we are talking to the wonderful Lynn, who is a crystal healer, energy worker and spiritual life coach. Welcome, Lynn.
Welcome, Lynn.
Thank you very much for asking me to be here. It's a real honour, a real privilege.
You're welcome.
Oh, thank you. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Oh, where do you want to start, Paula?
Oh,
it's a delve
on the
of a
pretty
one.
bits.
Oh, all the exciting bits. So I'm a spiritual life coach, as you so beautifully said then, which is working with the 8 spiritual life coaching techniques of bringing people into understanding spirituality. So I work with a lot of people online, a lot of people in the membership that are possibly new to spirituality. So they're just taking those first steps. I call it, if it's fair to say, mainstream. So the mainstream that haven't quite got to my state, which I would call more of a woo-woo state, possibly for you too as well, and many of your listeners. But I started doing the spiritual life coaching on the back of becoming a crystal healer. And once I was a crystal healer, I think like everything, you open that door and it evolves. So as the crystal healing began, so did the clairaudience, then more things became apparent, then the energy work became apparent. And then I got invited to speak at the Happy Place Festival. And then lots of other events kind of came on the back of it. And I now work up at Bamford in the Cotswolds and in Chelsea and South Kensington doing their one-to-one crystal healing. And just about to start at 180 in the Strand doing crystal healing and energy work there as well. So that kind of all ties together, really. So a bit of online, bit of festivals, bit of one-to-one.
Wow.
That's what I do.
That's awesome. So what is spirituality to you? What does it mean to you?
I'm so glad you've asked that question, because when I first started in any of this journey, I think that was the most questionable thing I asked to Google and ChatGPT was, what is spirituality? What does it mean? For me, I think it's the idea of there's something bigger. There's just something more. And I think that's what spirituality is. And once you know that there's something more or there's something bigger, you take that first step and your soul awakens and it decides to go on a journey. And I think for me, that's what spirituality means.
Yeah, because people do just think, don't they? It's woo-woo, it's a load of rubbish. You know, we hear it all the time.
Yeah, we're trying to stop.
And it's
We're trying to stop saying that word, aren't we? Woo-woo.
Woo-woo.
We feel it's disrespectful.
Oh, okay.
Disrespecting, because I think we're moving more into a way that it's not woo-woo anymore. I don't know. That's
more mainstream. I remember reading a book called Why Woo-Woo Works. You've probably heard, I think you've had a guest on who mentioned that. And that was one of the starting points of my journey, because your human brain, your science brain, it needs that proof. It's searching for the proof. And once you get past that and you center in again, you just understand that actually whatever it is, whatever you do or don't want to call it, it's just there, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, I like the idea of it just becoming less of a label and more of a reality.
Well, it's moving people away from the mind and actually, you know, as long as it feels right and it feels good, then why question it?
Yeah.
Exactly.
So
So you've mentioned science. So can we start with crystals?
Oh yes.
Just for me personally, I adore crystals. We all do, don't we?
We do.
Adore crystals. But I had to go in the back door through the science, and it was crystals that got me on the whole energy road and everything else. So many people, it's a stone. You know, what does that mean? So I think this is a great opportunity to understand. I'm going goofy saying this now. To understand the power of crystals.
So to understand crystals and crystal healing, we first have to understand our energy. So our energy comprises of 3 parts that we tend to work with, which is your aura. So this is the part of you that enters the room before you even speak. This is the part that's around you. And then you've got your chakras, which are the 7 main spinning parts within your body, ranging from your root chakra up to the top. And then you have the meridians that run through you, which is like your chi, your energy parts of your body. So we have this constant energy in our field. So we have energy, but so do crystals. Now, in order for it to be called a crystal and not a rock, it has to form under one of the 7 crystal structures. So it has to be a cubic or trigonal or tetragonal. Now, the reason I say that is because I had to qualify as an accredited jewellery professional in order to understand the science behind the crystals. So each crystal will form within one of those 7 crystal structures. So as it's forming, the energy of those crystals is forming. Therefore, that metaphysical property of that crystal forms as Mother Earth is moving it. So, for example, when there's an earthquake, Mother Earth creates quartz and it literally seals the earth back together with quartz. So that's how it seals itself. So quartz is formed with the silica and the oxygen, and she mends herself with quartz.
I didn't know that.
So
I think that's beautiful.
And it's known as the master healer. So when we use quartz, we're using it as the master healer because it's healing us. It's trying to heal. Like, again, we use the word healing. It's about you doing the work as well. It's not just hold the quartz in your hand and fingers crossed it's going to heal me, but it will amplify your energy. So when you put a crystal with its own energy, and each crystal vibrates differently. So an amethyst will vibrate differently to a labradorite or a lepidolite or an onyx. They will all vibrate differently. So when you place them nearer upon your body, it matches your vibration, and then it will either calm you or it will ignite you depending on where you are. So if you've got a low energy field, and you might want a carnelian or a citrine to bring you some joy and confidence. But if you're highly anxious and very stressed out, you might choose a different crystal to lay in your energy field, either on you or around you, and that will calm your energy field. So the use of crystals means, yes, a rock is energy because, as Einstein said, everything's energy.
Yes.
But a rock doesn't have a metaphysical property. It wasn't created by Mother Nature to do something. And those crystals that form in those 7 crystal structures are here to do something. And we've left them dormant for so very, very many long years. And there's this real research now of going, hang on a minute, these have been left for us. Why aren't we using them? They've been here for us, and so let's use them and let's understand why they're there. And that's how crystals are different to being rocks.
Oh my.
I've not heard it in that way before.
I had no idea. Please, can you tell us some more things, some more crystals? Other crystals that have been created to do specific jobs?
Yes, so each crystal has been formed to do a job. So if we look back in time, so if we go over to the breastplate of Aaron, we'll see that there was red jasper in that breastplate. Red jasper is renowned for being a grounding stone. It's a root chakra safety stone. It's something we can hold on to because it's quite heavy, so it makes us feel strong. And they placed that in their breastplates and the breastplate around so that there was strength and stability and grounding. Lapis lazuli was ground down into like a kind of a paint or a kind of that form, and it was used to paint in the Sistine Chapel. So that was what it was used for, and you also used for makeup.
Yes.
So there's lots of other uses for them. Selenite was created again as a cleanser. And now it's a very special one, selenite, because actually it doesn't like to get wet. So it's one of those crystals that you think, why would Mother Earth, who's got this damp and kind of like earthy warmth and dew of the morning and dew of the evening, why would something be created? But it's created because we need lots of different things. We can't just have grounding stones. We also need the light stones to connect us to Father Sky. So it's that Mother Earth, Father Sky connection that comes, and we use Father Sky and we use the moon and the sun to cleanse the crystals. But lots of things like tiger's eye was used by the Romans for courage. So we use that a lot in our solar plexus to help us if we need a bit of courage or a bit of strength. I've got one on today. So I was like, oh, I might need some, like, I don't know what's going to come. Like, I don't know what questions are. But I do think it's like, there's lots of meanings to the crystals. Yeah. And I think often people go into crystal shops and they'll read the meaning. And I often encourage them to maybe find the crystal first. What are you drawn to? Then read the meaning. Yeah. Talking to someone who knows, right?
Yeah.
What would you say? Obviously, I've worked in a crystal shop, and often I would have the occasional person say to me, I don't think crystals belong in a crystal shop. You know, I think it's cruel. Crystals should be left in the earth. Like, what would you sort of say to that kind of?
I think it's understanding how they've been brought out of the earth. And I think people that think it's cruel, perhaps, and I can only go on what my intuition is saying for this conversation, is how crystals are mined. And I think sometimes people look into the mining of crystals, and therefore how a crystal's mined and whether it's ethically sourced or not does make a difference on the crystal. So I'll sometimes feel a crystal and I think, this hurts a bit. So we cleanse it, we love it, we look after it. So it's how it's been extracted. So I always think when you go into a crystal shop, and if anybody ever thinks that, ask them, where do your crystals come from? Is it a Brazilian amethyst? Is it a Moroccan amethyst? And if you're a crystal shop owner, and there will be so many wonderful owners that are listening to this that will probably be grateful for this. Ask them the question. And if they can answer you, it's Uruguayan or it's Brazilian then you know that they've sourced that crystal in a healthy and safe way. And then crystals were made for us to work with. That's what Mother Nature does. She does it with plants. She does it with the air that we breathe. She does it with crystals. So they're for us to find and for us to use in a safe and healthy way. It's just sometimes we need to know that it was an ethically sourced way. And I really encourage people to go to shops if they can, rather than buying offline. And that's, again, once you've been to that shop, you've felt them, you've touched them, then go home and buy offline, because you can see them then. They're an online store. But I think there's a lot of places that sometimes we don't know.
Yeah,
and I think that's where it comes from a lot.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
When you think about it, though, you look back to Atlantis and Lemuria, then they used crystals for absolutely everything. So we've forgotten, haven't we? And we're kind of, waking up again, as we say. So how do we look after our crystals? And do they respond to us loving them and caring for them?
Absolutely. And it's strange, really, because you think, how can you be attached to something that you think isn't a living thing? But in our world, and the place that I believe that spirituality, as we talked before, is there's more, then who am I to say that they can or can't? So to look after them, the only thing that I often say is when you're putting crystals together in a bowl, because sometimes people say, I've got all these crystals, they're in a bowl. Is that all right? Of course it's all right. Not one crystal's going to, be more powerful or drain the other. The only difference is how those crystals are made. And there's something called a Mohs hardness scale. And on that scale, a diamond is number 10, which means it's the most strongest and hardest crystal. And one would be something like a selenite, it would be a desert stone, quite fragile, really. And the only difference is some crystals can scratch others. So that's the only reason we say be cautious, don't sort of throw them in and shake them around. But we can look after them by cleansing them, smudging them, washing them in water when you get them home, and talking to them and working with them. And there's different ways of working with crystals. So you can simply wear them and feel the benefits that way. Or you can do something called charging a crystal, which is when you could get a specific crystal home and you're asking it to do something that's within its remits. So an amethyst is a great example. It's really good for calm and it's really good for anxiety release. So you could buy a crystal and say, I know this is one of your wonderful metaphysical properties. Please, can I ask you to please do that for me? I'm asking you for this help. Or you could get an amethyst and say, I'm really trying to connect with the divine. I'm really trying to connect with consciousness, universe, angels, whatever it is that makes sense to you. Please, will you help me? And then you can use it for that reason. So you're kind of calling in what it's for. And lots of crystals have one meaning, but some crystals have multiple meanings. So it's about sort of charging it to do that thing. And then at any point you can rinse it, sage it, put it under the sunlight or moonlight and recharge it again if you so say, thank you, thank you, thank you. Let that go and cleanse it. So that's how you can look after them that way. But wear them as well. Just wear them. Sometimes people are afraid to wear them, like pop them in your bra, pop them.
Yeah. We know that one with the bra.
Yeah. So I had an operation, a day surgery. And so it was in the time where they walk you into where the operation is going to be. And I walked in, took off my clothes, and all these crystals went flying across, and all the doctor and the nurses, were, what's that? And I was like, it's my crystals. Flying everywhere.
Clutching for them.
Yeah,
Exactly. Oh, I love that. How many times, though, and I'm sure there's people listening, you forget you've got it in, you go to bed at night, you take your bra off, boom, straight down the floor. It's a great way to wear them. Perfect way to wear them.
Perfect. So I'm sure, I love crystal healings, but how do you perform a crystal healing? How do you know what crystals to use for people, and where do you put them, and what do you do?
So I love this question. Thank you for asking this. So the way I work, particularly on a one-to-one, so we'll do an in-person because I can do it in different ways. But in person, you'd come and meet me, get you nice and comfortable, lie you down, make sure you feel nice and safe and comfortable, and then I'll welcome you into the space with a little, some affirmations. We're here, we're safe, it's a nice space to be in. And then I use something called a dowser. I'm sure many of you will know about a dowser. And I do a run of the chakras. So I will go up and down, checking whether or not they're open, closed, whether they're partial moving. And I've trained my dowser, like we spoke before. This is a working dowser, so it's for me to work with. And then because I'm clairaudient, which is a very different thing for me, and it's still getting more and more and more. And I think the more you use it, the more it comes. Sometimes I'll go up from the root and I'll go, okay, you know, what do I need? I'll go over with my dowser to my crystal selection, and the dowser will give me a yes or no to what I need, or I'll just hear red jasper, red jasper, red jasper, red jasper, red jasper, until I get the red jasper when we put the red jasper on, and then stop. So it's like it's just a knowing. Otherwise I will go up and I'll go over to the crystals where I have them placed, and the dowser will lend me to where I'm going. As I place them on, because I know what the crystals stand for. Again, some of them have multiple meanings. So depending on which chakra they go on, the story of that person starts to evolve. So it could be red jasper at the root, then it could be maybe I'm using prehnite or black tourmaline. So I think, hang on, something's going on with the sacral chakra here that I need to be, you know, cautious with, because this often means maybe they've had a difficult childhood, because this sacral chakra forms between 6 and 16. So what am I protecting? Then I move up to the solar plexus. I've got anxiety because I've got Kambaba on it. Then I've got grief in the throat chakra, perhaps. So I'm now reading this story of the crystals, and I'm reading the story of the person in front of me, and I'm understanding what's happening. And then it's almost like interesting to say it, because it's like the matrix of numbers. You just sort of know, you can sort of read a pattern, and then the soul comes, and it's almost like it could be anybody really, lying the shell of anybody, but the soul comes and we meet and we go, right, okay, what is it that's trapped? Where's the energy in this nervous system, parasympathetic, sympathetic nervous system? What's going on? What are they holding on to they don't know they are? Where's the energy? Because we can't change these events, because we've chose our events. Well, we've chose the experience, and the events come for the experience. Yeah. But I can change the energy, because the energy does not need to stay with it, and then we can move forward. And then we take the crystals on and off, because as we're moving through, sometimes you'll get what we call jumping crystals. So if I'm working up here, putting some energy in, and this crystal's done it'll just move, because it's an energy and it's a vibration and it's done its job. So, you know, every now and again you're catching a crystal, or so that'll happen. And then we put in what we need, take out what we don't, and then close the chakra with the crystals that need to be on it. And then I'll often put them in a selenite cleanse, you know, cleanse the whole aura, settle them in, and then I go back over the chakras with the dowser to make sure that those chakras are back open. Most of the time we can open them up, we can get the wheels spinning, and sometimes they're a partial. Partial's great. Partial means we've still got movement, but it could be that there's something more going on in that area that we need to work on a bit deeper. And then we come back round, and then I often fill in the client with what's happened, what I've heard, what I've seen. Sometimes I might hear words that I don't know, but they're relevant to the person. So that's how it works. And then what we're trying to do is we're trying to realign your nervous system. So your fight and flight and your rest and digest. So that when you are working with these crystals, you're putting in what you need, taking out what you don't. We're removing that anxiety and that stress and that uncomfortableness to give you space to work through whatever it is you need to work through, whether it's the job application, whether it's the change in job, whatever the journey is. And it means that every 6 to 8 weeks, people tend to come back, because we shift and move, like we make shift happen. Yeah. So, you know, we do shift and move, and this is a great way to do it. Like, people would go for a massage, or people would, you know, do something on a looking after them for self-care. It's how it works. And then we can always uncover the underneath things.
Wow, your passion is incredible. And it's a shame people watching can't feel what we feel when we have our guests. And I can really feel your energy and your passion. And I feel really uplifted, actually. So, and that really comes across in what you're doing. So besides your crystal healing and everything you do, if we kind of go back to the beginning, like, who is Lynn, and how did your journey start, you know, with the work that you're doing? What got you into that path?
Lynn is sensitive. That's who Lynn is. And she was told her whole life that you're so sensitive. What's wrong with you? You know, why can't you just be like everybody else? And so Lynn, as a kid, quite quickly had to understand that people don't like you being sensitive. So either you've got to try and change that, or act differently, or be different. So I became really good at people pleasing. Like, in fact, it was the best skill I think I'd had, you know, up until my 20s. And I'm sure maybe you guys and other people listening, people pleasing was a way of life. And I think for a lot of empathetic people, and specifically women, we tend to be, if you're all right, I'm all right. So I did a lot of outer world work. So I'd make sure friends were okay, family was okay. I often found troubled boyfriends, troubled friends, be the fixer, heal. And that made me feel better, because my sensitivity got that. But I was always somebody that wanted to make people feel good. And I think that's probably why I got into acting, because I loved it. I really was passionate about it. So I did acting. And I remember at secondary school, the teacher saying to my mum and dad, I think you should send her to drama college. And my dad went, she'll be doing her GCSEs. I think she'll do her A-levels, so I was quite conditioned, A-levels. And then it was university. And then I remember wanting to go to, again, drama school. And I think we had this discussion, which to this day, me and my dad have different opinions on how it worked out because, well, that's the thing, isn't it? It's perception. I think I wanted to go, and he was a bit like, I don't mind paying, but will you get a degree? And it was diploma. And I think for him, if you were going to go, what if you don't want to be an actress anymore? What you're going to do with that was, at least if you've got a degree, you could pursue something different. So I went to Newcastle and I formed a women's theatre company called Open Class Theatre Company. And it was all about putting women's voices on the stage, women from really difficult backgrounds, stories, prisons, children taken into care, repeated patterns of behaviour. And that company's still going now. And I can't take any credit for them now because the work they're doing is phenomenal. But I feel really proud that I was part of that. So I think working with women, looking after women has always been quite important to me. For that reason, just have a voice, help look after people, because I've got a voice. I had a voice. Some of these women didn't. So I did drama. And then I went into the TV world because I got a friend who still, we've got a job on TV selling. I was like, I'm an actress. I don't know what you mean. So I'd been working in theatre and education, go around teaching kids and doing workshops. Yeah. And I was really good with the difficult children. The children who were particularly challenging, I was very good with. But again, I think it comes down to that empathetic nature, understanding that there's more to the sum of people's parts, and just a knowing, an inner knowing. And then left there, got the job on the telly, and it happened to be selling gemstones and jewellery. And my maiden name's Garnet. So it's, when we talk about synchronicities. So I spent 20 years selling gemstones, and actually I'd say for a good 17 years of that, loved it. And then towards the end of it, things really did begin to shift. And I think that was my moment of shift and change, which is where lots of people will be finding themselves or have found themselves. And then that becomes, then I became more aware of who I am, what my purpose is, what I'm meant to be doing, and boundaries could come in. I stopped people pleasing, lost, friendships that were quite narcissistic and unkind, those sorts of friendships moved. And then now I'm here. So it's been a journey of transition, but along that journey, lots of other things have occurred within it, to get me to where I am today.
Wow.
So crystals, you went into crystals because you've been selling the gemstones, wasn't
I don't think so. No, I think I was really interested in it at the start. Yeah. And I remember saying to the gentleman that owned it at the time, can I go and do crystals? And he said, you can't talk about healing properties of crystals. This was like 15 years ago on telly, because if you sell a crystal saying it's going to help with anxiety, that could be misleading. And people might not like that information because it could be seen as you're just saying that to sell the crystal. But it never left me. And then towards the end of my time at the channel, I asked if they would train me, can I go and be a crystal healer? Because I actually think it would be really relevant now on the channel. And they did. And they funded my first trip to Glastonbury, where I spent a week learning to become a crystal healer, or to at least understand how to do it. Because I think it's hard, like with human design, I'm a manifesting generator. That's who I am. And I'm gut led. So it's very easy for me to learn and do it and be good at it. But then people like to see that you've trained and got qualifications and done it as well. So it was important to me to also do that.
Yeah.
So they helped me to do that. So I'm really grateful for that. But I was never on my agenda, I don't think, prior to kind of being around them and around them and around them. And literally from being an actress going selling crystals and gemstones, but yet that was always my path. It was always destined for me. It was just how I was going to get there. Yeah. And I wasn't leaving that company. I was quite happy being on telly and smiling until it got so difficult that it was like, no, this is not your purpose. This is not, yes, it's great talking about them, but you're meant to be using them. You're not using them. You're just giving them to people as such.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Fabulous.
Wow.
And so spiritual healer or spiritual coach, what's a spiritual coach?
So it's a little bit different, the way that we do spiritual life coaching. So we're working with your chakras and we're working with your energy system to understand where your blockages are and how you're not moving through. I remember when I first started in my spirituality journey, which was, I'm stuck. I'm miserable. I feel like I should have it all. And I don't, and I feel lonely, and I shouldn't, and I'm just a bit lost, and I don't know. And a lot of the words I said was, I don't know. And with spiritual life coaching, we start with that. So we start with the foundations of what do we need to heal then? What's going on? What's the healing part of us? The bit that's we're struggling with, and it could be an illness that we're surviving from, or something that's happened to somebody else, or a grief or a loss. There could be something we're trying to heal, and then we go through to abundance. So we're trying to look at what's abundance and gratitude and purpose and what's your values. And I remember thinking, when I was growing up, I was taught values. Now people are taught values, whether it's from religious beliefs, whether it's friends, family, your own family. What are your values? And actually your values change through your life. But when was the last time you checked in on your values? When was the last time you wrote them down and went, do I still align with these values? Or are they old values from the old me that were keeping me where I needed to be? And what's the new values? And if you've got some new values, and we can start with even one value, well, we can work with that value then. We can understand, well, this value is here. So you want joy and happiness as your value, but you're miserable in your job. Well, you're not aligned to your value then. So that's why you feel stuck. So let's work out on some more values, and then we can work out where you're at. And if it's not aligning, we can start to align. So we come into being present, purpose, alignment. Then your vibration raises. So we decide to work with your vibration, your manifestations, because now we've worked on the others. And then we get to connection, which is the connection to the divine. And I think with people, we can take them on that journey. And a lot of people are now calling themselves soul-led leaders or soulpreneurs, because I think we're realizing that if we can trust our soul, which is our inside, more than our brain and our head, we're going to make some fantastic decisions. We're going to make some really informed decisions based on our guts and our emotions from a place of goodness. So when we coach, we're coaching, well, I'm coaching people that are, multi-million pound owners of businesses, women in this position of power. So, well, what do you want to filter down to your company? Because it will come from your energy when you walk into that space. When you walk in, your colleagues, your clients, your staff know this is the energy she's bringing. We either match her energy or we're coming away from it. And I think that is where we work with people in a high end, people that are just stuck, lost. We can work with them there. And we go through these foundations and we look at their chakras, and I can often dowse online on Zoom and I'll go over it. We can pull a card. We can look at what they can do. So some people like to journal. Some people have, I've got no time. I can't journal. I've got no time. And I'm like, that's great. I've got 5 minutes. Give me 10.
Yeah.
So, you work into like what is important and getting out of them what actually is their purpose. And I think that's such a loaded question. What is my purpose? And it's a hard one.
I think you've hit a real key thing there about people's values. And often, you talk, being a coach myself, what are your values? Oh, well, I know what my values are. But when you actually sit down and you write them down and you're looking at them, it's like, oh, and it just brings all these different emotions up. So for anybody that's listening, when was the last time you checked in with your values and you wrote them down? Because I think that's a key foundation to start with, to start making changes. And it's really simple, isn't it? It's so simple to do.
I remember doing one that was trustworthy. It's really massive, really important value to me, being trustworthy and truthfulness and not lying. Yeah. And so I looked at my alignment and I was lying a lot. And I'll give you an example. It was small, tiny white lies. I'm sorry I'm going to be late. The traffic was bad. The lie is the traffic wasn't bad. What I'd not done is budgeted enough time. Didn't want the person to feel bad that I'd not made them a priority. So I lied in order to make them feel better.
Yes. Yeah.
Right. That's a lie. So I'm not. So then if people lied to me, I'd get all defensive and all triggered by it. Oh, I can't believe you lied to me. So I had to look and go, why? What am I not doing that's not aligned to that trust? If it's such a big value of yours, Lynn, and I was really to say, if it's such a big value, what gives you the right to be lying then? Why are you white lying? Well, now you've got to heal the part of you that's trying to people please, because that's why you're lying. Stop lying and you won't be lied to as much. And if they are, at least you know you're in alignment and you can red flag that person because you're not calling it in by not being aligned. So even though, the best of us and as wonderful as we try and be, we also have that part of us that may not quite be aligning. And punctuality is really important to me. You both know today, like super early. Yeah. So if people are late, I find that a bit uncomfortable. But if they texted me and said, I'm going to be late, don't give me a reason why, or don't just give me 10 minutes. What they're saying is, you don't have to sit around and wait for me like your time isn't valuable, like you're just here waiting for me. Do something for 10 minutes, read a book, chill out for a minute because I'm not going to be there. I'll be there in 10. Well, then you feel respected then because they've respected your value.
Yeah.
And communicating that with each other can really help, because my sister's always late. She's like, oh, I'll be there in a minute, chill out. And I'm like, no, because I'm stood here tipping my cap, waiting for you, like I'm some sort of butler, like I could be doing stuff, I've got things to do. I'm busy. I've got coaches to do and crystal stuff.
Yeah.
So it's just that values. And I do think that checking in with them, and even if you don't know what they are or what it even means to you, just reassessing them, because you're probably living by old values. That's why you're stuck, because it doesn't resonate anymore.
And how do you, what would you say about people that are, those people that have been in therapy or been going to coaches for years and years and years and nothing changes? Do you come up against that? How do you deal with that? Because it's the big thing, isn't it?
It's accountability for me.
Yes. Yeah.
So you've got to want to. And what are you getting out of it if you're resisting the healing? Is it because you're getting that monthly check-in with a person that lights you up? Because we're very juicy healers, or people that are
juicy. I love that word.
Yeah, people want a bit of you, and they want a bit of you. So what we're going to do is we're going to plug into you. So instead of healing, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to come and plug into you for an hour. I feel amazing when I've left you, but I can't cope without you. Yes. So I'm going to keep coming back to you so that you can keep making me feel amazing again. And then I'll go away again, and then I'll come back again. And you get this accountability from both sides going, you need to start, I need to help you, give the tools to you to make yourself feel amazing so that your inner world works. And when you see me, it's just bonus. It's bonus. We get, to hang out. But eventually, if you are aiming for something, it's always nice to have that. Eventually you say, it's been lovely, good luck, go and be, because you don't want to be with somebody for years and years and years. That's, to me, not a great example of a client testimonial. She's been in 9 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, you probably want.
Yeah, exactly.
You do kind of want them. I don't mind a check-in. I think check-in's great. I think we should twice a year check in with somebody. I'm consciously doing that my own self, because that's quite nice. You were talking earlier about a drumming circle, and I also think that's quite a nice thing to do.
An MOT, I call it.
Yeah,
once a month.
Yeah, it's lovely to do, but it's the difference between a need and a refuse to heal because you just don't want to actually do the work. So it'll just come and you'll make me feel better for a bit, and I'll just keep doing it. But there's lots of, I know that's such a loaded question. There's lots of reasons why people struggle, but you have to go back to why don't you want to? Yeah, and a call out and accountability for it.
Yeah, and I think that's it. You've got to call it out, haven't you? And it is, calling out the accountability, because I think so many people spend years and years and years with that. I don't know. I just don't know. I don't know who I am. I don't know
when I first
where I'm going.
Training, the lady said, write down 50 things that you like doing. And I couldn't get past 3. And that was really sad, because I had no idea who Lynn was, what I liked to do, what my favourite colour was, what my favourite film genre was. And I had no idea. But it had to be really specific. So again, write down your values, and then what's your joy list? 1 is being out in nature. No, it's too generic. They're so generic. What do you mean by that? So I had to really narrow it down. I was like, I feel really like, ooh. So I narrowed it down. I was like, actually, it has to be quite a nice day. I have to be in the woods, and it has to be by water, but not a pond, running water. So now I'm getting more specific. So if I want to do something joyous, I just get myself by some water. It's moving, it's running, and I know it will make me feel better. So the more specific you can be, the better it is. I love a pint of Peroni. I love a pint of Peroni. And I remember going to South Kensington when I was working, and my friend said, would you sit at the bar? What would you like to drink? I said, I'll have a pint. She was like, no, I'll ask you again. We're at the bar. What would you like to drink? And I was like, I'll have a pint of Peroni. But you could see this kind of, that's not what we're meant to do. That's not the thing. And I said, but it brings me joy. Like that pint, that first one. And after that, it doesn't matter. I might have a Coke, or I might not, or I might have a water. But it was like, don't compromise your joy just because of the thing that you're stepping into, that should I conform because everyone else is? Yeah. But what brings you joy? And sit with it. What really brings you joy? Fresh white sheets on my bed. And I ironed the pillowcase. Don't iron the duvet, but I iron the pillowcases, and it brings me such joy. And I thought, gosh, It's just a tiny thing.
I don't iron my pillowcase.
I'll come round for you. I'll come round. It'll change your life.
Yeah, it will. It is though, isn't it? It is living in your joy. And I think so many people are looking externally, and that's something that I find real sadness, because our joy is in here, you know.
Trina will.
We know, you know, all the answers. And I think once we're right here, then everything else becomes wonderful. We can do the people pleasing, but we're solid in ourselves at the same time, which is,
I think when it's dark inside and people are too scared to come home because it's too much has gone on, or it's you've had struggles. And I mean, I'm sure there's many people listening have struggles. You guys as well have shared, and I've listened to many of your stories on this podcast, because it's so interesting to listen to, and I love listening to it. And I urge everyone to share your podcasts, because I have, very much so. And I think it's about resonating with people and listening to in the car, or listening to when you're going for a walk. And I did a lot of podcast listening when I was going to start my journey, going through my dark times. And I do think there's such a call for your podcast, because it's so interesting and it's so real, and it's especially for people that are just starting a journey that don't really know which way to go. Like, I didn't know which way to go. I didn't have a grandma or an aunt that was spiritual, you know. I was like just nothing. So my journey was about seeking others to help, and I think that's why I started my membership, because I wanted a Lynn. I wanted somebody that could say, start here and do this and try this and feel into this, and have you tried EFT tapping? Have you tried acupuncture? Have you tried? There's lots of things you can do. But I didn't know where to start. And I think that was where the overwhelm came. And I think your podcast is great for people, because you put it in bite-sized sections. Okay, I'll listen to that, or I'll listen to this. And it allows people to feel into where they are, perhaps in their own life and their own journey.
I think it's just, even if you just take a sentence from something from the podcast, like what we just spoke about, the values, or just something, or it could be a question that will just place that nugget in someone's mind to go, do you know what? I haven't even thought about that. And if it can just ripple out in that kind of effect, I mean, that's amazing.
Our aim, isn't it?
That's
our goal. But I think it gets, spirituality is such a huge, great big thing, you know, such a big umbrella, and it gets laughed at. And people think woo-woo, it's all this dancing around the things, and which is lovely to do that, you know.
It's part of it as well.
Let's not do that.
But it's messy, and it's painful, and it's hurtful, and it takes so much bravery and courage to turn around and go, no, gone goosey, that's a little bit of resonance here.
It's true. And I think, you know, saying there is people that are going through a dark time now, and to touch on things like everybody who's on a journey, life is tough. Yes. It is tough, but it's our human life. So we have to have the ups and the downs. We have to have light day, night dark. We have to have the feminine and masculine, because it's what it is. It's what it's about, those feelings. It's just when sometimes they become too overwhelming. Often people look for why did this happen? Why me? Or why them? Or why is this happening to me? What's the lesson? What am I meant to be learning? And I don't like it. Can it stop? Or I don't understand why this is happening. And I remember when I was going through quite a big fertility journey, and that's when my sort of really huge spirituality journey began, because I couldn't understand. This was the one thing. My thing was, if I can't be a mum, then what's my purpose? I know I'm meant to be a mum. I know I am. I'm sure I'm meant to be it. And lots of souls came to visit, and lots of souls went home again. And that was their purpose for what they needed to do. However, on that journey, I just kept turning to gratitude, and I just kept saying, I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful for this. I'm so grateful for this. I'm so grateful for this. And I ended up going for, when you do IVF, they ask you to go for counselling, because it's part of the process. And I remember going to the counselling and counselling the counsellor, and my husband coming out going, I'm not sure that was the right way. But I think she couldn't understand how I was being so positive about things. She couldn't understand how I was treating it. And I just kept saying, well, you know, what can I control? What is in my circle of control, and what is out of my circle of control? And when you're going through really hard times like that, it's very hard to stay in that positive mentality, because it's just a gamble, it's a guess. And then they said, you know, that's it. I'm so sorry, you can't have children, and this isn't going to be for you. And you know, that was the story. And that's when I said, well, then what's my purpose? And then obviously I then went to say, well, that can't be my purpose. It can't be anybody's purpose just to be a mum, a dog mum, and a cat mum, or a child mum. There's got to be more, and that's got to be a bonus. So if a soul should want to come and visit me, should they want to stay, then I will leave my space open and I will leave it clear, and it's here. But now I'm going to go and find what my purpose is. And then a month later, I fell pregnant completely naturally, and we now have an 8-year-old, and she's come, and she's come in her own journey.
Story.
I know, but I remember. I remember the time.
You're making me go goosebumpy constantly.
You guys.
I know. I don't get it. Just say, everyone would be like, when you stop trying, you'll have one. And I used to remember thinking, please don't say that, because actually you're all right to say that because you're on it. Or, I've had a story about my friend. She just stopped trying and she fell. So I just sort of remember now saying to people, look, as long as you hold space, and a good space, and if that soul chooses you as their parents, plural, however it forms, then it's your story. But your purpose isn't to be a mum. Your purpose is way more than that.
Yeah.
And that's just something else in your life.
Yeah.
So it's just that guidance of how I moved into gratitude, and how, again, that's one of the spiritual practices. And people don't think it is. Like, gratitude, values, purpose. How many people are watching have a bath at the end of the day, or a shower, wash the day off?
Yeah.
What cleansing your aura? How many people go out into nature and have a walk, or just go in the garden, so I feel so much better? You're connecting and grounding. It's just, people do so much, they just don't realise they are.
Yeah. Yeah.
And how much they are.
Gratitude. I remember following this lady from America, and she measures vibration. So she measures the vibration of your body, and it was gratitude was one vibration that your body goes right up in, and obviously the other one was sex. So
I'll do that on a daily basis sometimes.
Don't say that. My husband's in the thing there. He'll be telling me.
Yeah.
No, I think you need to raise your vibration. Texting.
Yeah.
That's for another day, yeah.
But yeah, gratitude was one of the highest forms of getting your vibration in a real high state was gratitude.
Yeah, it's hard to feel grateful when things are tough, I think. And it's being honest about it as well, because it's hard to, and then some people feel fraudulent saying it. I'm not grateful for anything. And I'm like, well, let's pull it back. Are you grateful right now that you're not in any pain? Because you will be if you're in pain. You'll be thinking, I remember when I wasn't. So you're grateful that you've not got any toothache. You're grateful that your body is okay. You're grateful that you've got hair. You're grateful that you've got eyelashes. There's like the little things that we can start with. I'm grateful for my duvet. I'm grateful for my curtains. Like, it's just, and then you just get on a roll.
You do. I was just about
kids,
to, don't you?
I'm grateful for the food I'm going to eat. And then it's like, carries on.
Start, the sunshine.
Grateful for the biscuits they got.
Exactly. But it is a beautiful thing, gratitude. It is a beautiful thing. It's I think spirituality per se is a beautiful thing, as Lovely Jane would say.
Yeah. Why do you think, in your opinion, people are stuck? A lot of people that become stuck. What do you think are the main reasons? I know that's a bit of it can be lots of different reasons, but in the people that come to you, what are you finding people are stuck?
I think it becomes, when you become stuck and you're stuck, congratulations, because you're already on a journey now, because you've acknowledged the fact that you're stuck. And that means that you want to change. So if you acknowledge that you're stuck, now you want to change. Then you've got to go, well, this is it now, because the soul has decided to move. And when you move into, well, now I've got to change from being stuck, it means that you've been living a life that's not aligned. And people call it your true, authentic self. If you haven't been living to that alignment, at some point you feel stuck. This feels uncomfortable. I feel stuck. I don't know where I'm going. I don't know what I'm doing. And it's usually because they've been living a life that feels like they should have been doing that. So they've been forced down a path by the family or friends, or it's just the job they've always been in. So they get the promotion, and then they get the promotion, then they get the mortgage, and then it's this kind of false expectation of what life should be. And I think when people feel stuck, it's because they know they're not in the right place. So congratulations if you are saying at home, I feel stuck, because now you've got something to work with.
Oh, that's a lovely way of putting that.
That is. I was just looking at you then thinking, you are great.
Oh, I'll put that in the confidence pot, everyone, and I'll nip into that after. Everyone needs a confidence pot. Pull on it.
I've actually had a crystal therapy session with you, and it was amazing.
Thank you.
So, and I've been following the work that you do. And it's incredible. It really is, with the people that you've been working with. So
I think it's making time for people listening to them. I think a lot of the time when you've got a modem of what you work with, you try to fit your modem to them. Whereas sometimes I'll work with people and I'll go, I'm not your person. I'm your cheerleader, but go and see this person or go and try this technique. And I love to surround myself by amazing women and men, but predominantly it happens to be women who are in their own field. So I can build a tribe around me to go, who can I point them in the direction of? Because it's not me. So, and I know when we very, very first met, that was one of the things you said to me. And I remember thinking, she's got to be a generator.
Oh,
like generate.
But
it's, and I learned so much from that conversation. And I thought, what a brilliant person to have started that. Sow that seed, like you just said so beautifully before, if there's one sentence, one thing that sticks with you. So now I make it a conscious effort to go, if it feels good and that person feels right, follow them, know them, get to know them, and then you can actually send the right souls their way, because it's for us to help one another, cheerlead, lift each other up, because women and men, we've got so much to offer in our own unique ways. Tap into who you are. Know you're stuck, want to change, choose a medium, hold a crystal, go for a walk in nature, do something that's different. And then you can inspire, because if your inner world's going, oh my gosh, you could hit the world with your outer world. So don't seek it out. Come home.
Yeah.
There's so many people that they can listen to on your podcast, and so many more people that are going to come after me that will inspire them to go, I want to learn more about that, or I want to learn more about this, or can I ask you this? And it's like, what do you want to know?
Yes, that's
come on, you're always welcome.
Yeah. Part of doing this podcast is to create a community. It's not about having guests coming on. Once you've been on, we like to connect everybody together, which is...
And I wish I had that when I started, like I said before, because I didn't have a tribe or a community, I lost a lot of different friends and family along the way because they don't get it, or they think what's wrong? And that comes, what's wrong with you? And it's like, well, actually, there's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong at all. In fact, I've never felt so alive and so purposeful and so happy. And I lost my mum 2 years ago. And I don't want her to be dead, actually. I really don't. But every day I am so grateful she was my mum and I got her. I chose you, Mum, and I got you. And yes, I'll miss you. And yes, I'm sure I'll see you when I go home to Source, and it's grand and it's fine. But that's hard times. So it's not all like, let's all pretend it's love and light, because actually sometimes it's dark and it's gritty and it's hard. But as long as you've got a community that you can listen to, or put a podcast on that lifted you up, and re-listen to it, because every time you'll change. So therefore your understanding of those words will change.
Absolutely.
And you'll take people on journeys that they never knew they were going on, just by using your voices.
Yeah, that's it, isn't it? Well, it's another one where Craig comes out and I want to go, no, go back, go back.
He's just texting about your vibration.
No, I've not finished talking,
What to do with timing?
I know, that'll be his road in now. I can't use the menopause anymore. He'll be like, oh, we're just raising the vibration. I'll be like, yep, come on.
Here's a crystal.
Yeah, let's do it.
Oh, dear.
Oh, girls, thank you so much. I feel so honoured to come and chat about everything today.
No, it's been amazing to have you. I feel ready to take on the world now.
I do.
We're all going right now a list of values, gratitude and joy.
Yeah. Is there any words of wisdom you'd like to give the Shifters community, and look down in the camera?
I just want to say, if you feel like anything today has resonated with you and it's lit something up, or it's sparked, or it's changed something in you, then follow that. Trust it and follow it, because you deserve to be happy. You are very loved, and you deserve to have and live your best purpose in this world, because you're here to make big changes, more than you could ever know. So trust, move, and just move into happiness, because you will find it.
Oh, that's so nice.
Beautiful. And how do people find you? We will put your details underneath.
That's very kind. I'm on Instagram. I'm under Crystal Energy Empowerment. So crystals being what I do, empowerment, because I'm all about empowering, and energy, because essentially, so Crystal Energy Empowerment on Instagram, same on the website, crystalenergyempowerment.co.uk, and have a soul membership that you can access via that. And
Amazing,
I very much welcome people to come and get involved in that if they just want that guidance, just to start the journey. So thank you, ladies.
No, thank you. Thank you so much.
It's been wonderful.
Thank you.